Year dominated by the COVID-19 pandemic, calls for police reform, and a presidential election. You might not have noticed reckless driving deaths. They are surging again.
Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson shows you where it's happening, who it affects the most, and the elected official now charged with fixing the problem.
Defining reckless driving,
it's crazy. I mean, it's nuts.
Is a bit like defining obscenity.
It's one of those things when you see it, you know it.
Spend a few hours on the road in Milwaukee.
This ain't no racing track, this is a street.
And you'll see it for yourself.
Wow, there are some red light runners.
Of course, it includes speeding,
going through a red light,
making turns in front of vehicles,
failing to signal,
weaving in and out of traffic.
After a quarter century on the force, acting Milwaukee Police Chief Michael Brunson says he's never seen it like this.
The reckless driving in this city has got to an untenable level.
It's frightening to be on our streets right now.
I can guarantee you, your viewers are irritated because I'm irritated.
For years, city leaders have talked about curbing aggressive driving.
We have to make sure that there are consequences.
We're going to be writing a lot of tickets.
This is something that we could change.
We're going to have to start doing bold things.
But so far, that talk.
This is a collective effort.
This is a call to action.
This is a call to action.
Has produced little action.
Don't nobody else do nothing about it.
This is a map of injury-causing accidents in Milwaukee this year alone, and nowhere is the danger more evident than the intersection of 27th and Center, where red light running is so common. We watched it happen right in front of two Milwaukee police officers who were already tending to an earlier crash.
Some of the conduct that we see out there is brazen.
It is just individuals who decide for whatever reason that they're just going to flaunt the law.
And if you thought a pandemic would pump the brakes on traffic deaths,
they tend to decline during economic recessions.
Think again. So far this year, crashes in Milwaukee are down 17% and injuries are down by 22%, but traffic deaths in the city are up. And most of those deaths involve victims who are black.
I am Doris Cole.
My name is Carolyn Hall.
My name is Lucretia Lewis.
No one knows that better than these three mothers who've all lost children to reckless drivers.
My daughter's just a little black girl from Milwaukee, so nobody really cared that much.
Statewide traffic deaths have been declining for years, but a study by the Wisconsin Policy Forum finds since 2013, the fatality rate for black Wisconsinites has more than doubled.
He affected his family, his children. Me, my family.
We were in the process of like buying microwaves and refrigerators so she could get ready to go to college and take her stuff with her.
Like to see a lot of change on reckless drivers.
Last year, Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett appointed a reckless driving task force.
Because I wanted to hear what the residents had to say.
And in June, the panel issued a series of recommendations from making public transportation cool to creating a safe driving video game.
Come up with a catchy tagline or slogan such as Pedestrian Lives Matter.
In all, there were dozens of wide-ranging proposals that fall into one of three categories:
education, enforcement, engineering.
Trouble is, many of them depend on funding.
We don't have the revenue needed to run the city.
And there's no indication which are the most important.
Finding one single answer to solve all the problems is really not practical.
The mayor wants a heavy focus on engineering, redesigning city streets with narrowed lanes.
That will help us naturally slow the traffic by making it more difficult for people to weave in and out.
The police chief wants more education.
It has to be instilled in individuals, I believe, from a very young age.
Carolyn Hall wants tougher enforcement.
Because if you keep getting them a slap on the hand, it's going to be a continuous thing over and over and over and over again.
Enforcement clearly is also part of it.
But municipal court records show police are writing 50% fewer tickets than they did 10 years ago. And in a July 6th email to Fox 6 News, the Milwaukee Police Department wrote that a commitment to increasing enforcement would be impossible with the looming threat of budget cuts.
Is that word impossible too strong?
I wouldn't say impossible.
Brunson was not yet the acting chief when the department made that statement.
It's something that we're going to make a fervent effort to address this moving forward.
In fact, He was a member of the task force that recommended stepped-up patrols, but he says he's also a realist.
We have to be creative. It will be a challenge.
It was more difficult in the last several months because of COVID-19, because of the fight for racial justice.
According to the task force, it's now the mayor's job to turn these proposals into action and to answer the one question under it all: why do so many people in the city drive this way?
It's not just people that are losing control of their vehicles. These are people that are choosing to do this.
By far, the most critical part is individual behavior.
Getting through to those individuals may be the biggest challenge of all.
What the? Those are conscious decisions. Those aren't accidents.
But these three moms say city leaders have to try.
They got to make people know that you're going to be accountable for your actions.
Because doing nothing would be reckless. Brian Polson, Fox 6 Investigators.
Acting Police Chief Michael Brunson says previous chiefs have focused on traffic enforcement in high crime areas, leading to a larger number of charges. Brunson says his strategy will focus on high crash areas. On Wednesday, the Milwaukee Police Department announced the renewal of a reckless driving reduction initiative that will take place over the next several weeks. They intend to target drivers who are speeding, driving drunk, and of course, driving recklessly.
A hit-and-run crash leaves a Waukesha County highway worker injured. The crash happened this afternoon on County Highway F near Redford Boulevard. That's in Pewaukee. Officials say the victim was working on some road maintenance when he was struck. The suspect is driving a 2011 to 2015 maroon Ford Edge with a missing driver's side mirror. If you have any information, you are asked to call the Waukesha County Sheriff's Office.